All right, everybody. Looks like we are ready to go. Excellent. So let me just fix one thing here. Remember that one week I was asking you guys if I was fuzzy? It was because my stream just automatically came in at a low resolution and I was fuzzy on my own device, but it was just because of my settings. Anyway, I'm glad to be here today. We're into the second week of December and things are crazy, and I'm working on all sorts of things for January already. So it's kind of nuts. Anyway, I've got some different things going on here with my setup, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's making me pretty happy and bright for the holidays. I've got like lots more open space right here, which is really good. I used to be like all crowded around by lights, but now I have lights in front of me instead, and it looks really awesome down on the tabletop. So I think you guys will really like it. Hello to you, Paula and Nancy and Sue. So glad to see you three out there. I see we've got more people out there. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and you'll get notified of and click on the little bell too for notifications so you know when I go live and when I have new content here on the site. Starting in January, we will have more content on the site again. I took a little break because, well, you just need to take a break sometimes. And I tried to refocus on what I want to do for 2021, and I'm really excited about all of those things. So there will be even more talk about that next week. I shared with my avid watchers here that we're going to be doing more with the stamp focus. So next week I will reveal the stamp focus for January, and I will also reveal the new program that's going along with that. So not only will I have the weekly stamp focus projects, I will also have another opportunity to create exclusively with me in a smaller group on a private kind of Zoom kind of thing. I'm going to be using Google, what's it called now? Google Meet, maybe? I can't remember. They are always changing their names of things, but we have it with our business. And so I can go over the 1 hour allotted time. Like with Zoom, you're with the free plan, you're restricted by the amount of time that you can be online with people. So with what we have with Google, I'm not. So I'm going to open that up and we're going to have some fun live crafting with each other face to face. I'll be able to see you. You'll be able to see me. You can show me your projects as we go. We're going to do some really exciting stuff, but that will be at the end of January. So more to come on that. Some of that is also going to be when I do alt to new projects. Those will also be not really sponsored, but supported by Alta New. They're going to go ahead and share my live classes with their readership and followership. So I'm excited about that, to have that little partnership going on. Anyway, awesome. Can't wait. You'll be there. That's so fantastic. Thanks, Ms. Tamp. And it will be just kind of like the workshops that I'm doing with Alta New. And if you aren't able to make it the day of the workshop or the time of the workshop, you will get to be able to catch the replay. I will have the PDFs just like I've been doing for the previous stamp focuses. So I think you guys are really, really, really going to love it. And even for you overseas, it will be an opportunity for you to craft with me as well, trying to get a good time in there for everybody. And we'll just keep refining it and working on it after we do the January one, and I'll make it work so that as many people that want to join can join. Anyway, great news. I'm so glad you guys are excited about it. More to come on that next week. So definitely make sure that you're subscribed here. Also down in the description, make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter. I know I've been a lot delinquent in writing a newsletter, but I promise you that more will be coming through that channel as I start getting these classes up and running. So you'll want to be subscribed to that. As a one-woman show, this takes a lot of planning and effort, and sometimes things fall by the wayside. Plus I have my whole other job with my husband, so there's a lot going on in life right now, and I'm just trying to get as much out there as I can, because I love to craft and I love teaching you guys. I love to share my knowledge and see you successful. So that's why I continue to do all of this. So with that said, don't forget that all of the supplies that we're using today are listed down below. There is a single link to take you to kind of like a whole shopping list if you like. Those are affiliate links. If you use them, I may receive a small commission at no additional cost to you. And I use that money to help support free content like today's live class. So there's that. And one last announcement. I was going to do a sketch starter this month, of course, because we've been doing those kind of religiously. I don't know that I will get to one this month because it's already going on the 10th, and I don't have one posted yet. So I thought, you know what, let's just reboot that in January. We'll take the month off and we'll restart in January with another sketch starter challenge and go from there. So take a break, find another challenge this month, but do come back because I will have another one for you next month. Okay, so anyway, we are going to work on our little tag today, a little light up tag. So fun, so fun. Love this little girl. And last week, you'll recall we did some no line watercoloring. So we created this little cutie patootie. She's adorable. And we did some coloring with our mittens. And so, of course, these are completely dry. And look at how shiny those are. Love these. And we did our snow drifts. So these have the embossing paste on them, and they are nice and dry and good to go. So today we're going to do some assembly. But first, we're going to do some coloring with alcohol markers because I wanted to show you guys that option. So let me pop down to my hands. There we go. Let's see. So Ms. Tam says, no worries. You need to get ideas together so you can beat Sue the next time. Yes, some friendly competition. Excellent. I love it. Okay, so here is the original project. Now remember, I did her with watercolor and the black line. And so last time we did a no line watercolor, also using the Altenew watercolor pencils. And wouldn't she look cute up there too, right? So adorable. Okay, so the third option is to use, I wanted to show you how to do some coloring with alcohol markers. And I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. Because we're gonna go a little outside the comfort zone and let's inject some diversity into what we're doing here. Okay, so I wanted to show you how to do a nice dark complexion. And we're going to be using the, I can never remember the name of this grouping from Altenew. It's the coffee one. It's Sand Dunes, Rocky Shore, Mocha, and Espresso. You see these little labels. These are the new marker labels, and I love them. I don't have the ones on the tops yet. But these are really helpful because trying to read this little name here gets really, really hard. So we're going to use these to color in the face here. Now I did this one just in case my sample today ends up being not so great, but I am confident that we will be able to do this. So normally I like to go from dark to light, and I think I'm going to do that today. That's what I did with this one, but I kind of forgot what I was doing and I got like too dark in the center of her face. And so I'm going to try to pare that back a little bit. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people are like, yeah, I want to learn how to color with alcohol markers, right? Raise your hand if that's you. And we say, hey, I'm going to learn how to do that by coloring in these great stamped images. Well, guess what? These stamped images are so small. It seems like they're big because you're like, oh, wow, that's, 3 inches or 4 inches tall or whatever. No, they're really, really tiny. So what people do, I think that is a mistake, is they end up using the brush end like way too much. This brush end is like too huge to fit into a lot of these nooks and crannies. So I challenge you to use the bullet end of your marker more often for these smaller stamped images. Okay, so I am starting with Mocha, and I'm not going to do espresso. I'm going to save this for her hair. I think that's going to look really nice together. So I'm starting with Mocha, and I'm just going to do these little spaces here around her eyes and kind of bring it up over the side. Fill in this little fringe area around her face here, come around the other eye. All right, and so I could never have gotten this small of a space if I had used my brush nib. All right, you see how small that is around there? Okay, so I don't want to talk for too long while I'm demonstrating here. So the next lightest color is Rocky Shore. And again, I'm going to go for that bullet nib. And oh, you know what I wanted to do? So with the mocha, before I go too much further, I do want to get this little, I'm always opening the wrong side. I want to get this little accent on her nose. So I'm just going to go on her nose like that. All right. That's going to be helpful. So now I can come in with Rocky Shores. And I'm going to work that blend in a little bit. Just a little, not a whole lot. I don't want to color this in yet. All right, and then again, I want to get it kind of around her nose. So I'm going to start blending that out a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to come in with the lightest color, which is Sand Dunes. And see, I'm always going for the, I always forget that this little line here, this gray side is the one that has the bullet nib. That's an easy way to remember that. All right, so this is the lightest color, and now I can really blend this in. So what I'm hoping for is to have just a hair lighter complexion than I had on my trial run on the other one. To start with. So I might actually come in and go a little darker, but at least this gives me a little bit more depth. I felt like her face ended up being really flat on this one, and I want this one to have a little bit more depth. So I thought, okay, I need to make sure I have more light space in the center here to work with to start with. All right, so I'm still working on sand dunes, but what you're seeing here is now I'm going over it a second time, and that's going to add a second layer of that color, which means it's going to get darker. So I don't really want to go back into Rocky Shores. That would be too dark. But by adding a second layer of sand dunes, and now even a third layer, see how I get a nice brown tone without completely flattening her face out. And so there's that little wisp on the nose there. That's helpful. Okay, so now I think maybe I can go with Rocky Shores. Now this time I am going to go for the brush nib because I want this teeny tiny point. You see how small of a dot I can make there? So I want to add just a little bit of a whisper there. Shape up that nose a little bit more. There. All right, so now what I need to do is just let this sit. The alcohol ink is going to move and blend together, and this face right now looks a whole lot better than it did 10 minutes ago when before I came online and did this. So it needs to mellow out a little bit. If you're working with really dark colors, you want to let it mellow out. You can always come back later and put a whole nother layer on it. But if I turn this over, look at how much ink is already in here. I really don't want to put another layer on there and just have it soak through and not really do much. So I'm just gonna let that sit, and we're gonna work on the rest of her. Okay, let's see. So Ms. Tamp says, oh, you saw the sketch on the Altenew channel and you're gonna be trying it out. Yeah, my last sketch starter. Yeah, cool. So, okay, so Mocha, just to get these little spots on her arms that are sticking out. And I think that ends up really bringing the whole look together, because now all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, okay, I've got this going on. All right, so let's do her hair. I'm going to do it in espresso and mocha. So again, I'll start with the mocha. And again, I'm going to use the bullet nib because I can get some really nice long flicks. All right, so right now it kind of looks like her face, but when we put the espresso on over it, it won't. All right, so coming in with the espresso. And you can see, so what I'm doing here is I'm like all the little white spaces I left behind from the mocha, I'm filling in with espresso. All right, and then I will come back with mocha, and actually I will use the brush on this one and brush over, and that will help those two colors blend together. There. Oh, and you know what? I want this little piece of hair, I do want that to be the darker color. There. And see, now she's really, really, really starting to come together. All right. So now that this has had a little bit of time to dry, I'm going to come back in with the mocha. And I feel like she just needs a little more tiny definition here on her nose. And let's darken up the sides of her face here a little bit. So what happens is like Rocky Shore here and the sand dunes, they have so much blending fluid in them and less pigment that they like to push colors around a lot. So I lost a lot of that shading that I had around the edges here because of that. So let's come back in with Rocky Shore and just fix up this blend a little bit. Okay, so one thing I neglected to mention is when I stamped these, I used Altenews Permanent Black. So you want to use a permanent black, a hybrid black, or a water-based dye ink black when you use alcohol markers. If you use something like a pigment black or a VersaFine Clair, it's going to smear because they don't really play well together with alcohol inks. All right, so let me just do... Actually, that blended out quite a bit. I don't think I need to do anything else here. All right, so I'm gonna let that sit again, and then I'll come back with my black marker, my black fine liner, and we'll help her eyes stand out a little bit more and her little nose. Okay, so I think the face is really done. I think it looks really great. Awesome. Oh, so that's like the hardest part. So I recommend that if you're doing a character, do the face first, because if you mess up, then you haven't done everything else and then messed up the face. Okay, so especially if that you find that that's like the hardest thing for you, definitely do the face first. Okay, so we said we were going to make her like a little sugar plum berry. So I've got my shades of purple out here. So soft lilac, lavender fields, deep iris, and midnight violet. I think this is shades of purple. Yeah. And so we're going to do her hat and all that stuff. So let's start with deep iris. Again, I never really do the darkest color until I know that I really need to add in some depth. Okay, so again, bullet nib. And I'm actually doing like little circles, just really close together. around the edge of the hat here. And let's draw this down one side and back up the other. All right, so we've got also some shadow here on the back side of the hat. Now there's going to be a bigger shadow here and less as it comes forward on your head. And this line here, this little edge, doesn't need to be super straight, so you can kind of just make little zigzags like that because, you know, you've got the little fuzzy rim. And we'll come around our holly. Right, and then I'd have like probably a little bit of a shadow back here. Pretty ugly, right? Okay, so let's move into Lavender Fields. And now I can go into the brush because I want to lay down more ink and really get that edge blending. All right, and then soft lilac. We may not end up seeing a lot of this soft lilac, but let's get it in place and get things starting to blend. And we'll see where it ends up. Okay, so there's the start. It still doesn't look super great, but we do need to kind of come back a little bit. So we'll do back into the deep iris. Not the color I meant to do. Shoot. I hate it when that happens, guys. Wrong color. We'll roll with it. We'll make it work. So at this point, because I did put the wrong color down over here, I'm just going to have to go for all lavender fields in here. That's okay. All right, so now deep iris. Derp. Actually, I think this might end up being a little bit of a blessing in disguise because really want this to look kind of sugar plummy. So a nice rich purple is really what we're going for. What you guys think? Well, I think she's adorable. So I'm going to take the Midnight Violet and just do a little bit here and over off on the side. Whoa. She just flew right off my hand there. There. Oh, you know what I just realized? I need to get this spot underneath the holly. That is supposed to be part of the hat. Like so. There. All right, so now that we haven't paid any attention to the face, have you noticed how it mellowed out? It looks super, super cute. So I'm going to take my black fine liner before I forget, and I'm going to just color in her eyes, even the little white spot, because I'm going to come back with a gel pen. I really want to make sure those are dark and lustrous. And let's get this little spot on her nose. That'll help that stand out a little more. Okay, and then I can just take my white gel pen. There. Gorgeous. Okay, so this one section was pretty intense. Let's do some little quick easy kills. So the little gloves, of course, we're going for the sugar plum theme. So let's go soft lilac. And I am going to use the brush tip on this because, again, I can get a really small line. And I'm going to use that to color in those little tips on her gloves. And then we'll go the next darkest. So again, Lavender Fields. And again, I'll use the brush because I can get like super teeny tiny, just little dots of color, really. And the ends there. I'm sure you guys are really enjoying looking at the top of my head today. There we go. Okay, so then let's pop in some deep iris. I am going to pop just a little bit on those. And this is super duper detail work. Actually, let's just go back and do that same Lavender Fields. There. Okay, so let's do the same thing with her stockings. And so I started with Lavender Fields, and I'll add some deep iris on these. And then I'll do a lighter line with soft lilac and lavender fields. So while I'm working on this, have you guys finished your holiday shopping? And what's on your wish list for the holidays? All right. So I think I want to make her boots deep iris. I'm going to color them in completely in deep iris to start with. My hair is really getting long. Yeah, it is. Just has a little bit more to go and it'll stay there for a while. It's longer than it looks because it's curly right now. So if you let the curl go, you know, it comes down to like here. So let's see. Ann Taylor says she hasn't finished her shopping yet and she's asking for stamps, of course. Any stamps in particular? Any hot items on the wish list? Okay, so for the inside of the boot there, I'm actually going to move into the warm grays and grab evening gray. And even though I put down the midnight violet, I'm going to put this gray over the top of it. And let's see if that's dark enough to make that really look like a nice shadow in there. Maybe not. Let's do Moon Rock. There we go. All right, and then I'll also use a little bit of Moon Rock on the sides of her boots here. There. Yeah, they're natural. I've had them almost all my life. When I was younger, I didn't have them. And then, I don't know, when I turned about 10, they showed up. And they haven't left me. And I'm the only woman in my family that has these curls. So nobody knew how to style them or manage them. It's a little frustrating growing up. All right, so we need to do her coat and her skirt. Like I said, I think I'm going to do her skirt in soft lilac just for a nice contrast, kind of like what we did with all the other little girls. They had a nice soft color on their skirt. So I'm going to color the whole thing in soft lilac and then come back for some shadows and then blend it out with the soft lilac again. Oh, so Sue, my grandmother went completely gray around the age of 18. And she just had gray hair. She just kept it. This streak in my hair I've had since I was in my early 20s. And it just keeps getting bigger. I do not color my hair. I used to put highlights in because it used to all just be really dark. but I don't color my hair either. So that's a good question. When was the last time silver tinsel on her hair? That's a good idea, Paula. When's the last time you guys got a haircut? I actually have been going to get my hair cut. I go once a month just because we've been trying to grow it out and I try to keep it looking presentable for online. So not that anyone would really care, but you know, it's my one thing. Okay, so did you see what I did there? I took the lavender fields and I just hit all those little accent spots. All right, and then to make that look really good, just go ahead and come back over with the soft lilac just one more time. So again, remember this is adding another layer of soft lilac. So if I don't put it anywhere, that's going to give us just another little gradient. There. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do is her coat, and then we need to talk about the fur. And I love the idea of doing kind of a silver tinsel. I'm just trying to think what I could use to make that happen. So give me a minute or two. I guess I have colored pencils. We could do that. Okay, so I'm going to do her coat again in the deep iris. And this is very similar to when we watercolored and I was like, look, I just have to put this little bit here and this little bit here and just a little bit down on the edges. And then when I come back in with the lighter colors, it's all just going to blend out and look gorgeous. See how quick that came together? Okay, so I'm going to, again, take that, which one was it that I used? The moon rock, and get this little spot inside her cuffs. There. Okay, oh, and I'll get these little details too. Okay, so if I want to make those look like metal, I did just color them in gray. I'm going to take my white Sakura pen and put some little detail on there in white. And see, then that makes them look kind of metallic again. Okay, haven't got your haircut. Wow. Sue, you're so funny. Oh, good. I'm glad you got your Hanukkah cards out. That's awesome. Awesome. Good job, guys. Okay, so let's think about how we're going to do silver. I have some silver markers, like some silver Sharpie markers, or you know what? Let's try something. So I'm going to use, let's see, evening gray, morning frost. Okay, so morning frost is the lighter of the two colors. That's kind of a brownish color though. And that's kind of dark. I'm really at a loss for what I would do. Oh, I have an idea. Okay, so we will add, I just got these and I'm so excited about them. I saw them at Creativation and then I just had never gotten them. So this is Stickles, the glitter gel. It's in the container though. And this is the, which one is this? Asteroid from the Tim Holtz collection. So we'll put some of that on there and that'll really help that stand out. Like glittery, it'll be awesome. But we will put that on last. So let's just put some, and I have another color too. Nebula. Oh, this one actually has stars in it, which is kind of cute. Let me smear some on some paper and we can figure out which we want to use. Oh, yeah, lockdown over and over again, right? So I'm supposed to have another haircut after Christmas, like between Christmas and New Year's, but I think I might skip it just because it's been kind of crazy here too. So So for this one, that's what it looks like. And this one is Nebula. And it's all kind of slimy. Just like Stickles, right? This one has stars in it though. So this one is basically, Nebula is getting all over the place. Okay, so the Nebula is clear with stars, like some iridescent in it. And then this one is Asteroid, yes, Asteroid. And this one has the silver in it. So I think we'll go with this one. It's got some iridescence in it too. Cool. Okay, so like I said, that will be the last thing that we put on. Let's finish up her her holly, and I think I am just going to do that in, I wasn't sure. I don't know. I thought maybe we could do them in some aqua shades. So that's what I was thinking. Hey, Becca, glad to see you join us. And then let's just do these up in Midnight Violet to start. And then we'll pop some black. Actually, I think I'm going to come back and put maybe some rhinestones or something on those guys. Okay, so for now, she is good. Let's cut her out and then we can do some assembly. All right, so you guys get to watch me fussy cut. This will not take long. So I am cutting her out. I'm not going to save the little patch of snow that she's on because we already made other snow, and I will just kind of position her behind some bits. So if you have never fussy cut before, or you don't like fussy cutting or whatever, here's some tips. Always move the paper, not your hand. And try to work in the throat of the scissors as much as possible. And go slow. and cut off excess when you can. So like right now, I'm just going to cut that off. I can do this girl some other time. All right, and on my original one, I like went inside all of this and whatever, but on this one, I'm gonna go just up to the wand and then go around her hand. It gives a little bit more stability to the wand because I even like cut out the inside here and just had that little skinny wand, but it did actually break. I was able to glue it down, but this is an easier way to go about doing it. All right, and then when I get here, I'm just going to cut right across to the fur, the tinsel, I guess, because that's what we're going to make it. And then just kind of do a little shadow cut around the edges there. And then continue along the hat line. And then now that I'm down here again, I'm going to come down and then let's see, and then come back out. And then just kind of, again, just do a little shadowing around the edges of the tinsel ball at the end here. Actually, if I had like a real life small jingle bell, I might consider just attaching that to the edge of this. That would be really cute. Almost there, guys. There we go. Come on. Okay. Hey guys, I think we're back. All right, someone confirm to me if you see me back, because part of this is not working and part of it is. Phew. So we had our internet drop a couple times today, which is a new thing, and apparently it just dropped again. So sorry about that. The cool thing is that YouTube will cut it out and kind of cut out that whole buffered part, which is nice. So hey, I think this is where we left off. And I'm just finishing up my fussy cutting here. So there we go. Yay. That's the one crazy thing about lives, is that you never know what's gonna happen. I can be a little stressful. But there she is. Isn't she so cute? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so now we can go and do some assembly, and I'm going to back out a little bit. So Becca asked about the scan and cut. Yes, I have played with my scan and cut. I actually am going to do a little rearranging in the room so it will come into here, which will be great. But I just, since I was doing this live, you know, I'll just do a fussy cut. I thought about pre-cutting it and then coloring it, which would work too. But this is good enough. And then what about the star on the wand? I thought we would add some stickles to that as well. So, but let's actually put some color on it. And actually, I don't want the warm gray. I changed my mind. I think I'm going to use the toned gray. So this is limestone. Let's check it. Let's do a color check. Yeah. So I am going to add just a little bit of color to the wand. So when we put the stickles over it, it has some color underneath it. And then I'm also going to add just a little bit of this on the sides here and on the ball. Oops, and down here to give it some depth. So when we put the stickles over it, it will cover that for the most part, but it will give us a little bit of depth and dimension. So I'm just doing kind of like these little scribbly things because I'm not trying to do like a huge blend here. Just trying to get some color underneath. An aqua wand, that would be cool. I already put color on it. And it's going to get the stickles, so we'll just leave it. Okay, so I didn't do anything. Let me just give you a closer up on that. So I didn't do anything super crazy here. Just like I said, a little bit of color so that way when we put the stickles over it, it will have some dimension. Okay, so let's do some assembly. Okay, so I've got my thick board from Tim Holtz, and I've got my little reinforcer that we colored last week with the Imagine Crafts or the Sukaneko Brilliance inks. And look at that. So it's like totally dry and it doesn't come off on your hands. They really are awesome, awesome inks. Okay, so we're going to pop this guy on here. I need some glue. Okay, so I'm going to use On Point glue because I'm trying to get rid of it. You can use matte medium. You can use any kind of glue that you want. I'm going to start. There we go. So it should be pretty good. And I already have my piece of cardstock cut. This is slightly larger than 3 inches wide. So it's like 3 1/8. By 6 1/4. So it's exactly twice as long as it is wide. All right, so I just put that on there square. And then I'll take my scissors here and just use these edges as a guide to snip off the ends. Yeah, I had just a hair excess there. Okay, so I've got this hole in the middle, and you can use anything to punch through that hole. And if you don't want any of that like excess, what I do is I just use my hands to very carefully get rid of it. Or you could use a piece of sandpaper, anything that you want. This is going to get covered up by that little grommet, so, or reinforcing tab, so it doesn't really matter how ugly this looks. You can use a little craft knife to cut it out, just whatever you have on hand. Doesn't take anything special. Okay, so now I've got my little grommet hole there. One more little piece. There we go. Okay, and this is going to go right on top. So like I said, you'll never, ever, ever see it. And you can use any kind of glue to attach these. These are like MDF. Anything, like any glue really works with them well. All right, so there's that. All right, so we're definitely going to go over a little bit today because we have to do our lights. Do I know how small I'm on the phone? Yeah, I know. I'm like little teeny tiny square, right? Depends on which orientation you put it on. Nancy, I should be back, so hopefully you can get that to work on your computer again. Okay, so these lights are cool in that you can kind of make them any length that you want. They're just cut off here. So if you don't need this whole string of lights, you can make it shorter if you like. All right. And there's a lot of ways that you can attach them. You can use super glue. You can use these sticky squares, and I'm going to use the sticky squares because they work pretty fast. So on the back of my mittens, okay, so you have to pull this little plastic tab out, and that's going to turn on our lights. Okay, so you can work with them on or off, it doesn't matter. And just think about where, like there's this whole lead here, and that can come all the way up to the top. So it depends on like where your mittens are going to end up, or your little baubles are going to end up. But let's say I'm going to do something like this and pop our little girl next to it. Let's do something like that. So what I think is the best thing to do is to actually glue these guys together. So you're working with one element. All right, so we're going to let that dry for a minute. Get some sticking power there. Okay, so it's going to go kind of like so. And that means that kind of the best thing to do I got this in a little knot here. Give me a second. I know the thumbs are backwards, but you know what? If I flip the mittens the other way, then both of the thumbs will be on the insides and you won't see them. So that's why I'm doing them this way, because otherwise you wouldn't see them. So it's an artistic thing. Okay, it can bug you all you want. And actually, I think I might put her in place as well while I'm at it, so we really know what we're working with. All right, so this is how I'm going to do this one. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of enter on one side and leave on the other side. So let's see. I'm going to enter here, and then I can leave wherever. So this is where my first one is going to go. I'm going to take my sticky square, and these are just like adhesive-y bits. And I'm going to sink my light right into it. I'm going to put the, so I don't know if you can tell, but the metal part goes across the back, and then there's like a little blob that has the LED that makes it shine. Okay, so there's two little tracks basically, and I'm going to put those tracks right into the blob of sticky square. And this works out so well because you can just track it all the way around. I'm actually just going to pull this off so I can pull these squares as I need them. Okay, so I've got a couple squares here, and I'm going to track this all the way around the mitten and come right back to basically my starting point. Now, here's the thing. They're spaced pretty far apart. So if you want more concentrated color, just bend the wire gently and put your light into it where you want it to go. It doesn't really matter how messy the back looks because, well, that's the back. Okay, so another sticky bit. And I love that these are multicolored, but I hope that he comes out with just plain white ones that you could use kind of all year round. All right, Nancy, I'm glad that I got to become bigger again. I feel like Alice in Wonderland. All right, so you see how pretty easy that can be? If you're using these sticky squares, I'm just turning them into a little pile of goo, if you will. Pop it down, I bend my wire, and I put my light right into it. So the only time I need to be careful is as I'm going around the snowflake detail. But that's pretty easy to avoid. Oh, do they have white ones? You know, I got these from scrapbook.com and I thought for sure they were white, but they came colored. So maybe they were advertising them as white, but they had colored ones too. I don't know. Not that I'm not that I care so much because I think they look cute with the colored ones for the holidays. But I'll definitely be getting some white ones for other projects. Valentine's, things like that. All right, so you can see now that by folding up the wire as I go, I'm getting a real good concentration of lights, and I will probably end up using this whole little strip, which makes me happy because you're like, oh, I spent money on this and I'm going to cut off the lights. I don't think so. So this is a nice way to go about doing that. Right. This process works a lot better. On the first one that I did use super glue. And though it stuck, it took forever because you had to kind of sit there and wait for them to dry in place. But with these little sticky squares, you just move on to the next one, right? So this little assembly part doesn't take too long. All right. So because these guys are together, I don't have to worry about this part here. I'm just going to come back around the edge. No. These guys are super sticky, so when you use them, keep that in mind. But you don't want to be sticking stuff into them unless you mean to. Well, this is going to work out quite well. All right. So there we go. My lights are in place, and when I turn that over, what you're going to see is that glow. You can see that. If I need to move them a little closer to the edge, I can just kind of inch them up a little bit. That's another nice thing about using these little glue dots, is that you can manipulate them a little bit. All right. So see, now when I put it down, you can see that little shadow. That's awesome. Okay, so then this I will glue onto the back, you know, down here somewhere. I will super glue that on later. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of a little halo effect. Okay, so we need to put on our snow. And we're going to start off with like a little piece right here on her foot. Because remember, we cut everything else out around it. So I need just a little dab on her toe there. Do, do, do. With an E. An affect with an A is to do something like effect change. An effect with an E is like a visual effect. Who knew you'd have a grammar lesson too? What? Okay, so do, do, do. Okay, so that's stuck on there now. And that works pretty well for right there. So that means that I can take this larger one and put it back and give us a little bit more of a background. I may only use 2 layers on this guy. So remember last week when we made these with the embossing paste, I cut them to width so that they would fit all the way across. And if I do need to do any trimming, I can do that. Or you can just leave it. You don't have to trim it. All right, so a little bit of snowy texture there. And now the question is, how are we going to get her in place? Well, actually, we have another piece of snow that we can use too. Okay, so this is pretty thick here. And I've got my double-sided adhesive strips here. So what I'm going to do is put some on the back of this snow and just a back on her. This is actually going to attach these two together, which is good. And then I'm going to take this guy and pop that on here as well. And that'll be our second layer of snow. Whoa. Okay, and then I will put, this is where we go crazy with the adhesive. So I'll pop, actually this is going to go right on top of the other one. And then I think what I'll do on my original one, when I glued everything down, I actually put the on-point glue on top of all this and then just sat it down and let it sit with a heavy object over the top of it for a while. But this time I'm going to try just using some foam adhesive because I'm noticing that this is about the same height then of the lights as they are sticking up here. And the other good thing is that it helps to keep them in place. All right, so remember this guy kind of comes off the edge a little bit. All right, so this actually ends up being kind of quicker than doing it the other way because I'd have to wait for that other one to dry and we'd be here forever. So let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, what I will do then, you know, tomorrow or whatever is I'll actually just put glue on these strips. I'll leave the strips on here because those will stick to the mittens just fine. Okay, so I want this edge to go all the way down to the bottom. Stick that on. Oh yeah. There it is. Yeah. Okay, and then again, like I said, this I will attach back on the back side, but I will wait until later because we still have some work to do here. Okay, so let's turn this over. Yeah, so that's what you're going to see on the back if you ever looked on the back. Okay. So that and that. And I can fill in, I don't need as much snow, like see all those sequins that I put on here. I really needed to fill in the space. I wanted to make it feel snowy. So I did that, but I think for this one we can do much less. So let me pop out some sequins here. Because this will still give it some extra texture. And then, did you guys just see that? There's a sticky square on the end there, and I just all over. All over. I totally knew I was going to do that too. Ooh, I like that one back there. That's kind of a cool effect. It helps it to like glow off the edge of that. I love these little ones, but they are really, they like to pop out of your hands really easily. There. I don't like that one there. That's good. All right. So that will do it for sequins. Give you guys a close-up of that. So we've got some sequins texture in there. And now I just need to add some of the stickles onto her fur. Yeah. So I'm using my little palette knife here. I'll just grab a little bit of the stickles and I'm just kind of tapping it on to give it texture. So it's not just smeared on. Guys, this is adorable. And so this will take some time to dry. Once it does, it's going to be spectacular. All right, and I just need to get her started here. Guys, that's so cute. Oh my gosh. I like this one even better than my original. Okay. What do you think? She's super glittery. I love it. Thank you for the suggestion for the tinsel. I think that's just perfect. All right. And there it is. So now you guys can finish up your project and share it. So if you were following along and you feel like sharing your project on social media, don't forget to tag me at Pixel Mavens Retreat. And because I'd love to see what you did. I'm going to take some pictures of this for sure and share it out on social media as well. So I'll have it out on Instagram and maybe Facebook, but Instagram for sure, because it's too cute. And I have like a little short or something going on with my lights here that I need to get fixed. I think maybe the batteries just aren't seated right. I'll fix it. Anyway, there she is. So cute. Okay, guys. So next week, I need to actually look at a calendar and see how many more weeks we have for this year. Let's look at a calendar. December says, okay, so next week will be our last Running with Scissors for the year. I am going to talk about our stamp focus for January 2021 and the new private workshop that we're going to have at the end of January, and that will actually be open for signups starting next Thursday. So I will announce that on Thursday, and you'll be able to sign up for that if that's something you're interested in. But next week will be our last one for the year, and then we will meet up the first Thursday in January, which is January 7th. And that way we can spend the holidays Zooming with family and having some quiet reflection time and doing all the holiday things that we can do this year, and anxiously hoping that this new vaccine that is starting to get disseminated around the world is working, and that we can look forward to a 2021 where we can start to get back to normal. Yes. But there will always be time for crafting. So I am so glad that you guys joined me today. I'm glad you hung out for a little bit extra. Sorry about the glitch. Things happen though. So I will see you here again next week. And I hope you guys have a great crafty weekend and fit in all that time to finish up your holiday cards and all of your holiday crafts. So I'll see you next week. And until then, happy crafting.